running on or close to schedule. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Sally. And 7:32, it's down to just hours now. Parts of the federal government will shut down at midnight unless a deal is reached.
Oh, boy. The number 2 Democrat in the House says lawmakers trying to avert a government shutdown have come to, well, quote unquote, 70% of the way on the numbers, but are still fighting over social policies such as abortion and the environment. He said this about 3 minutes ago. Let's hear what a man from our area has to say about it. Pennsylvania Congressman Pat Meehan joins us now from Washington, D.C. Congressman, thank you for being with us.
Hey, good morning, Mike Chenille. Great to be with you again.
Yeah, so, you know, I wish the Democrats would have done their job last year and got a budget done, but that didn't happen, so we are where we are now. It seems like they were so far apart. Republicans around $100 million we want in cuts, and the president was down around, and the Democrats around $5 million. It seems like they've come 3/4 of the way up to what the Republicans want. That sounds like a really great compromise. Why can't we take a vote?
Well, I hope we can get to a vote and get this resolved. Nobody wants to shut the government down, but the fact is that the numbers still have not been presented, and the disparity that you identified is really not what I understand the case to be. It was somewhere between 60 and 10 when we started. Well, it could be right now. It may be down somewhat to the numbers. But the big problem here is not so much, it's the big picture, Mike. I mean, we're still talking about spending money that we do not have. I mean, it's the incredible debt that this country is facing. And I think that's the fundamental issue here. It's really a matter of principle as to whether or not there's going to be a real stand against this spending, which is the next generation is going to inherit. 40 cents of every dollar that they want to spend is being borrowed, and a lot of it from the Chinese. That's the fact.
We understand the facts, but if we talk about the consequences, the danger to our economy, perhaps people, you know, their refund checks being delayed, some 800,000 families not being able to report to work, is it worth the stubbornness, do you think?
No, I think both sides are digging in as they come down to the wire. And my best hope is that they get to a solution and come to us. Look, nobody's even come to us yet and said, here's a number. Here's where we are. We have not been given to vote on anything at this point in time. And I think they're going to both work down to the wire and come to us with something. I'm hoping that there's enough time to resolve it so that they don't have to do something over the course of the weekend. But the bottom line is, again, these are real fundamental issues. I think you're beginning to see the beginning of what's going to be a protracted debate over the course of the next year and a half, right into the presidential cycle.
I think that's part of what's going on here. Who's going to get, there's going to be so many heated debates over the next 2 years that we want to prove that we have the upper hand on this very first fight. But you know what makes people crazy, I think, Congressman, is when we start attaching all these riders to this. You know, now we're talking about Planned Parenthood, which is just so minuscule in the amount of money, and it's about, you know, Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. How did it get down to this, attaching this Planned Parenthood rider onto this thing?
Well, I don't know if that's going to fundamentally be the point that will end up being the divider. In fact, I think a lot of times these issues are all thrown out as red herrings. You'll see accusations that this is driven by the Tea Party. You'll see accusations in which they try to throw the issue away from the fundamental issue of spending by throwing in what they hope can be something on the social issues. Now, on both sides, you've got some people pushing an issue at the moment where I think fundamentally people are saying spending is the heart of where we need to be now. Not that all of these aren't important things that can't be resolved in the long term. Mike, you said it at the front. I mean, we're dealing with last year's budget.
I know it.
And this is all a setup for the real next year's budget, where I think a lot of these things can be developed in greater detail. Go ahead.
Well, we've got to wrap this up, but I was just going to ask you to end with, what does your gut tell you? Do you think this will happen today?
We're going to get something done. The question is whether or not it's going to get done in time, that there won't be some kind of a minimal impact. I think they're going to come to us with a resolution, and I'm looking forward to the vote. Look, I want to get people back to work. I came down here to fight to let people keep their jobs and to create a stable economy, put people back to work. We want predictability, and I want people to see that government can work.
Yeah.
Are you still glad you ran?
Yeah, you know what? I love every day of being down here.
Good.
This is part of what it's all about. And when you think about what we're fighting for, I got 3 kids at home. And when you really look at this in the full context, we are fighting for the future of America. And they will not, if the spending continues the way that it is, it's unsustainable. And we won't be able to hand down to the next generation the America we inherited. This is an important fight. And it's not easy. And that is why we're having all of these. But we're asking people in Washington to make the same kinds of decisions that families are making all around their dinner table each and every day.
Hey, the minute you get word, would you let us know?
I'd be happy to.
Right,
Give us the number and I'll call you right up.
You got it.
Our producers
Okay.
will do that
Thanks.
right now as soon as we say goodbye to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Or tweet us.
Great.
It is 7.